Hello and welcome to part 3 of my Championship Lode Runner video walkthrough here on YouTube. In this video I will complete levels 11 through 15. On level 11 you must fall on a falling enemy just so. Level 12 can trap a careless player in the lower left corner. Level 13 is an all-cement maze where you need to sucker the enemies towards you, but not too quickly. Level 14 is a grid of ladders and 3x3 platforms, some with false floors. Level 15 has a cute little trick if you grab gold chests in the wrong order. Each level has a recap after, and for additional information, you may wish to check out my Game Facts guide I link to below. Alright, first we want to take care of the gold chests in the left. The center one is the toughest. We need to bring the enemy into the hole here, and we will have just enough time to go up the ladder and jump down on them and run right, and that is the only way we can get that center chest. The bottom chest will be a bit easier. Again, we go back up to the top. This time we don't have to go all the way right to give ourselves enough time. Standing near the left is good enough. And we will again drop on the enemy. We want to remember to push up so that we don't drop into them, and then go right. And now we've been able to use them, we can pick off the gold chest in the upper left corner. We can probably dump one of them in the pit, but we don't want to dump both of them because then there would be no way to get two of the chests on the right. So this next part is pretty straightforward. Not much to say about it. You just have to avoid doing anything too dumb. I could have dropped the enemy in the pit there, but I figured since the other enemy was close, I might as well get the chest in the center right, and the enemy will drop there anyway. Of course, there's no way an enemy can ever pick up a gold chest, so that isn't a problem. The main problem is don't dump them both in the pit before you have the two gold chests on the right that are below the cement. Now that we have them, we can do as we please, pretty much. We're going to get the upper right first, or we just did, and we just dig so that the enemy falls in, and now we just fall down through the three chests in the center right. And it's a clear shot up to the top. Once you see this level has no false floors, you realize you somehow have to dig above a few gold chests and drop in. And then the question becomes how. And the only solution to that is by dropping on an enemy. So the left center gold chest is particularly tricky, and you need to give yourself time. And once you figure that, you should be good to go. The rest are a lot easier. Okay, so the first thing to do is run across to the right. I really didn't have to pick up the gold chests, but there wasn't much risk to it. The good news is that most of the bad guys will stay on the left, so you can clear out the right. The bad news is that they'll stay on the left, so clearing out the left is not trivial. Now, you'll notice I dropped down to get the one enemy to fall in. I knew they did not have a gold chest, so they're as good as gone. There are other false floors in the crosses here. Obviously, we want to avoid them, but we can sucker the enemies into falling, and even if they have a gold chest, we can still fall down on them and dig either way to get them out. So, not too worried about that. All the same, we want to clear out as many chests as we can before this next part, where we bring all the enemies over, and then we go up the ladder, and then we go left to the very edge. And we don't want to fall too early or they will catch us. This was probably okay because I knew I could outmaneuver the one guy. You notice one of the enemies dropped into a cross, and I'm just trying to make sure that the other one falls down. So now with 3 left, it's a bit easier to outmaneuver them. I'm going to go to the very left edge. Eventually I have to sometime. And then just drop off. I don't want to drop down from there because that will stick me in a pit I can't get out of with 2 false floors. And you'll notice that sometimes the enemies kind of stay on the side of the cross, so you need to move up until they can see you vertically and want to jump down. Once you get up here and you recognize the pattern, it's just a matter of persistence. And I was going to say, well, you go and you always tackle the leftmost ones, but I didn't quite live up to that there. The important thing is always to try to get a few gold chests with each drop, and also make sure that the enemies follow you so that you aren't cut off from going back up the stairs. This all will take a bit of time, but it's not too bad. And again, you want them squished together, because if one enemy is too far behind, instead of following you and falling down, they'll go back down the stairs and you may be trapped on either side. We're getting pretty close to where there are no gold chests left to actually take. And what we will need to do then is, if we don't have the ladders appearing, we'll just need to start digging enemies. The one in the center, just to the left, probably doesn't have a gold chest, but they aren't the first one we'll attack. One thing we can do also is dig the small little platforms 2 up from the bottom. And of course, when the enemies run towards us, they may just wind up leaving a gold chest behind. Not sure what I was waiting there for. I think I was trying to determine if an enemy had a gold chest or something and what to do then. But we're back underway. Now, we don't want to go up the stairs here because one of the crosses, you'll fall down into a pit. All the false floors may be confusing here, but if you take the gold chests one at a time, it shouldn't be too bad. The best way to do this is run straight right, and then you'll want to bunch the enemies just left of you, and then go up, and then go left, and then just concentrate on the most left gold chest, pick that off, and go again. Eventually you'll get through. If an enemy falls into one of the crosses on the top, you can just dig them out to the left or right if they have a gold chest. If not, great. Also, the end of level ladders, if you climb them, you will fall in a pit on the leftmost upper cross, and that's no fun. Okay, so this is a maze where it takes a while to figure out where to go when, but you just have to remember these guys will follow you horizontally, and you don't want to move them over too quickly or you can get trapped. But on the other hand, you do have to move them over to get by them. The guy on the left is particularly tricky. The guy on the right, you are not going to get by. So we will need to sucker them to come up, leave a gold chest, and then like there, he has a gold chest, and we're going to push them back down. And there he let go of his chest, and you can see we're trying to get him to run over that square. There he left the chest, but picked it up right away. And now we'll move down so we can get a huge head start. I slipped there, but next time I won't slip, and now I will get the other 2 chests in the lower right. Now it remains to fake out the guy on the left, and I did a poor job of that. What I should have done is just have him follow immediately, or rather go down the center, have him move 2 ladders right when I was 2 north of the bottom there, and then move up and catch him in the maze in the upper right. But instead, I thought I had to play safe for a bit, and there we go. He let the gold chest go. I was going to try to move up and down to make him get rid of the gold chest, but actually it would have been simpler just to lead him in circles as I'm doing right now. I'm also going to put him in the dead end up there just to be extra sure I can win. And now the enemies won't bother me, so I'm just going to pick up all the gold chests and leave. And you'll notice the ladder on the right. That's really mean. If you went and got the lower right last, thinking you could escape, you'd be wrong. There are only two ways to exit to level 14, in the upper left and in the right, but the game teases you with the right where you can't quite reach the ladder, so you'll probably get killed when you go back to the upper left. This maze also doesn't have many roundabouts. The only one is in the upper right, so you need to get an enemy to come over there by lining up with them horizontally and having them come at you. This is a neat, tricky little level that I messed up a lot because I went for the lower left gold first, and that is a fatal mistake. What I needed to do was find a way right, as I'm doing now. There are 3 levels of ladders, and you can pretty much fake out the robots because you're so much faster to find one that's a clear shot right, or you can just go right and then go up and down and right again. There are false floors in the little buildings here in the 3x3 blocks, but you don't have to remember where they are. You can tell at the very top because if you're next to the enemy and the enemy doesn't chase you, there's got to be a false floor there. So here, I played a little fast and loose, I think. I should have waited for the enemies to get a bit closer or stayed a bit higher up before running. I got lucky that the enemy went after me instead of going down. And now you can see when I was at the top, the enemies kind of bounced up and down at the top and left gold chests there, which made the rest easy. You'll want to notice that there aren't any meaningful end-of-level ladders here, since gold chests would disrupt making a new passage up. Also, the false floors, just knowing where they are on the top is good enough, because I found I could retreat to the top and dig holes for enemies to drop gold near the end. The upper right is also a good base, as you can just go down a bit, have the enemies run right along the horizontal ladders, and then sucker them some more by running all the way down and then left to get the very lower left gold chest, which is the toughest one. You can't get it right away either. Okay, so here's level 15. It's pretty straightforward, although there is a trick with where the ladders appear at the end, and it will probably fool you the first time through if you don't have a walkthrough. You can see there's not much to do to start, or many choices. You just have to pick up the gold at the end of the ladders. And now what I'm going to do is not pick up the final one. You'll see why. There's not a whole lot to say here other than that I want to dig out this guy to get the gold chest he was holding. And now I'm going to let this other guy drop down. And I didn't really have to do anything to avoid that guy. So I was just kind of messing around there and wasting a few seconds. But now I am going up to get the gold chest. And if I had gotten the last gold chest over in the brick area, then what would have happened, you'll see in a bit, is that a ladder would have appeared and those robots would have been able to play prevent defense. This is another level that feels like it's easier to play through than describe. You'll see what the trick is. I think it's a pretty good trick, but I found it interesting to note that if there were no ladder in the bottom left, you would have to push 2 enemies into the bottom left and have the third one, you'd want to fake them out by digging and running past them. You probably wouldn't want to kill them, but as things are, you just have to save a gold chest on top of the ladders for last, which is hard to do because you say, oh, look, let's get all the gold chests we can and then move on, which is not the right way to do things. That's all there is to this video. Thanks for watching through, and if you enjoyed this enough, giving a like or subscribing if you haven't already goes a long way in encouraging me to share more videos of fun games you may want to revisit or didn't realize you missed. See you next video.